Currents, a Reiki News Live talk show, bringing you interviews with Reiki wisdom holders and stories of hope and healing from around the world. I'm Stephen Vandiver, your host. The focus on Reiki is to spotlight one of the world's fastest growing self-care, spiritual, and personal development tools. Everyone can learn this calming, relaxing, and healing technique and channel universal life force energy. As we come to know that our universe and everything around us, including our physical bodies, is made entirely of energy, learning to effectively work with that energy is key. Reiki is a priceless addition to your personal spiritual development toolbox. Our guest tonight is Karen Harrison. Karen is founder of Whole Life Center in Kansas City, senior licensed Reiki master teacher with the International Center for Reiki Training, and teaches all levels of Asui Holy Fire 2 Reiki, including Holy Fire 2 Karuna Reiki Master. She is also co-director of the Licensed Reiki Master Teacher Training Program and a mentor teacher for the ICRT. Karen has written numerous articles for Reiki News Magazine, which are available on her website. She began studying Reiki in 1993 and has studied with several ICRT teachers, along with several Japanese Reiki masters, including Hiroshi Doi, Hyakuden Inamoto, and Mrs. Chiyoko Yamaguchi. In addition to her Reiki practice, she is licensed as a professional counselor, marriage and family therapist, and was on the spiritual counseling staff of Unity Church of Overland Park, Kansas for 22 years. Karen's mission is to empower others to heal on the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual levels. Thank you for joining us tonight, Karen.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
Absolutely. I'd like to start out to hear kind of about your healing journey, your story. What brought you to energy healing and what brought you to Reiki?
Mm-hmm. Well, my younger sister, Barbara, was involved with Reiki beginning in the 1980s, and she kept talking to me about it and kept talking to me about it, and I really wasn't interested. But finally, I gave in and agreed to have a class with her. I didn't feel the energy. I was bored. It was 2 hours, and I thought, okay, I'm done. Well, then she said that she wanted me to come to her master's Reiki circle and practice. I thought, oh gosh, I thought maybe she was inducting me into some voodoo society or something. I thought it was really quite strange. And then I still probably would have given up on it. But then whenever I would talk to her about a problem, she'd say, well, did you try Reiki on it? Did you try Reiki on it? It was very annoying from a younger sister. So anyway, one time I was on a road trip with my husband and 3 little kids, and the car broke down. Well, they all went in to talk to the mechanic, and I stayed out in the car and gave it Reiki. Well, then I tried starting it after about 20 minutes, and the car started. It worked perfectly the rest of the trip. I didn't tell anybody what I did. So that kind of kicked off my Reiki journey, and then eventually I went and studied with her Reiki master. They're all part of the Reiki Alliance, as far as I know. Reiki 2, so that was 1993 and 1995. And then I thought about going on to Reiki Master, but my sister's Reiki Master wanted to charge me $5,000 for Reiki Master, and for the other $5,000, I was going to need to send Reiki to the earth every day for the rest of my life. So I decided, no, I'd be just happy at Reiki 2. Well, then I ran across William Rand's book and the retreat, and anyway, I offered to sponsor Laurel Shanti Gaia. She came to Kansas City and taught, and I got my Reiki Master from her in 1998. And when I went to the retreat the next year, I felt like, oh, this is my soul family. I need to be a part of this. So I started getting everything together to apply to the licensed teacher program, and got in and got my initial license back in 2001.
Wow, that's amazing. Now, can you talk a little bit about a recent upgrade to the Reiki system that William has, the Holy Fire 2 Reiki? Can you talk a little bit about that and, any differences or, what is your, I know you have a couple of articles on it too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I wrote about it in my Lessons from Holy Fire article that's on my website at KarenHarrison.net. So I also use Reiki in my counseling practice, and I find that Reiki works much more quickly than just counseling alone. And since the Holy Fire came out, that was another thing that I was really reluctant about at first. I wasn't a really big fan of it. It brought up a lot of healing issues. I'd been very happy with the Sui Tibetan. So it took me a while to warm up to it. But, finally I did. I went out and took Colleen Benelli's class after having worked with the energy for about 6 months and decided, okay, this is it. It's great. About 3 months later, new abilities started dropping in. And things like my high sense perceptions opened up quite a bit. And I started having even greater success with my healing sessions. One of the main things that I do is work on helping people to clear and release all kinds of old issues, old traumas, old car accidents, old family of origin issues. And the Holy Fire energy has been so valuable and so quick in that. For example, this week I worked with a woman that had been in a horrible head-on car crash. And at the beginning of the session, she rated her trauma at a 9. I worked with the Holy Fire energy, and by the end of the session, her trauma level was a 2. I checked in with her a few days later, and her trauma level was still a 2. And this is 6 months after the accident. So I think that's a pretty major miracle. And I've seen things like that happen all the time on all sorts of issues. And so I'm getting just a lot quicker results with the Holy Fire than I got with the Sui Tibetan. Plus, it's really strengthened my connection with Holy Spirit and Jesus. Before I worked with Kuan Yin, I always loved Kuan Yin. Kuan Yin's still around. But the healings that I get with Master Healer Jesus, that it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and you have, like you mentioned, some articles on that, and another article on spiritual healing and Reiki for empaths kind of goes into that as well. What kind of feedback do you get from your clients that have experienced your sessions, before Holy Fire and since Holy Fire?
Well, they're getting deeper and quicker healings. So, that's been a really great benefit. One of my goals as a healer, excuse me, is to work myself out of a job. So a lot of my clients become my Reiki students, and then, they treat themselves, or they, trade with someone. I had to cut my session times way, way back because, I prayed and asked God, where do you want me to focus my time? I don't have time to focus on, the counseling and the, and the Reiki and the essential oils and the biomats and the Tantra. That's 5 things. Where do you want me to focus? And I heard him say Reiki and oils, heaven and earth, and go out and teach and write so that I could help more people. So I'm only doing just a few sessions a week, only about 5. And then the rest of my time is devoted to teaching, writing, and mentoring.
Yeah. So talking about that, can you talk a little bit about the ICRT and maybe how, once you decided to take that track, and how it's evolved and how you've evolved there with the ICRT?
Mm-hmm. Okay, sure. Well, the track has evolved quite a bit. When I went through it, it took me 7 years to get through it. And we've changed up the requirements now somewhat. so that most people should be able to complete all the requirements in 3 to 4 years. So the program is an 1,000-hour apprenticeship program that gradually unfolds. First the person works on completing the requirements to get licensed for Reiki 1 and 2. And as soon as they are licensed, they are able to advertise their classes on Reiki.org, which is the website of International Center for Reiki Training, and in the Reiki News magazine. Well, boom, that doubles your, classes and students that you can teach. And it gives you the ability to teach classes anywhere in the world. One of our newly licensed teachers teaches in Spain, Dubai, India, London. Some of our other newly licensed teachers decided, well, we want to go to Wales. So they're teaching in Wales and, getting to write it off as a business trip. How nice is that?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, what are some of the advantages? You mentioned one as far as, business automatically doubles. Of course, it's a bit of a long road, but what are some of the other advantages to being an ICRT licensed Reiki master teacher?
Mm-hmm. Sure. One of the things I like the best is it gives me instant credibility. I don't have to be explaining to people what my qualifications and credentials are. They just know that anyone that is a licensed teacher is a reputable teacher. So I really appreciate that. Being able to use the center's logo and being able to display the licensed Reiki Master Teacher logo on my website. When you get in the program, you're assigned a mentor. So you have a mentor that is helping you with all aspects of your business. And that is a really super advantage, because the mentor will help you with things like marketing, business organization, things, like, hey, taxes, it's tax time. Your mentor can give you some guidance on that. Technology, your websites and how to work with that, and search engine optimization, success consciousness, having the right mindset for a successful Reiki practice, helping you through some of your own healing issues that come up, because it is a self-development program. And guess what? Your issues are going to come up. And then your teaching skills. I have recently created PowerPoints for all my classes, and I am sharing them with all the other licensed teachers so that if they want to teach with a PowerPoint, they can. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then practitioner skills, things like documenting your sessions and attracting clients. So we get help in mentoring with all of that. Well, Colleen Benelli and I are the co-directors of the licensed teacher training program. So we provide help to the other licensed teachers in those areas through quarterly business coaching calls, and then for all of the student teachers. And then some of the other benefits are the International Center has gone out and gotten pre-approval for continuing education credits for nurses, marriage and family therapists, social workers, and currently we're able to give CEs for just Reiki 1 for massage therapist due to changing requirements of the NCB TMB.
Okay. What are some of the disadvantages, if any, for someone, maybe someone that's looked into the program and they decided it's not for them? What would be the reason for that?
Okay. Well, the program has some structure to it. You need to be willing to follow the outlines that are in the Yusui Holy Fire manuals and cover all of that content, and it's really a lot of content. So our classes go from 9 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. And if someone wanted to add in a lot of their own content, there really isn't time for that. Or if they want to teach in some unusual way, or bring in a lot of other modalities, they wouldn't be able to do that in that class. They could do it in a separate class. People that do well in our program also are good at being able to follow through with paperwork and have some ability with computers. Hopefully they would already have their own website and, a Facebook page or, a fan page, and have had some success in teaching and attracting students, because our program is geared for someone that already has some practice. The person needs to have had 2 years of teaching experience and have taught 8 classes. So, I guess for someone who might be a real maverick, who wants to do it their way and only their way, that may not be a good fit.
Understood. Now, you had mentioned earlier that there have been some significant changes, certainly to the ICRT program, since you entered into it, a number of years back, and what it is today. And it seems like, there have been periods of time where maybe you weren't accepting candidates into the program, or you were kind of full up. Is there a waiting list? Tell me a little bit about that.
No, there isn't. Well, it's because Laurel Shanti Gaia was doing the work of multiple people. When she had her stroke back in 2015, several of us stepped in to do her job. So her job was spread out amongst Colleen Benelli and myself for the student teachers, Carolyn Musial and her husband, and Laurel's husband, Michael Baird, for the licensed teachers. So we've expanded our team, and, one of the reasons that we weren't able to take in more teachers before is we didn't have enough mentors. Well, now we have recruited more mentors. We are trained more mentors. Colleen and I, we've had the time to further develop the mentoring program. So we provide training and support for the mentors. And we have quarterly mentor meetings and guidelines for all the different topics that I mentioned earlier, things that we're supposed to cover in our meetings with our student teacher. And we meet with our student teachers 1 to 2 times a month, and then any time that they have a question or concern, of course, we're available for them to reach out. So we've accepted, I think about 9 people into the program in the last year, and we don't have a waiting list. We have room for a few more. We currently have about 30 licensed teachers and student teachers, and William Rand, who is the president of the International Center, would like to take it up to 40. So we're trying to gear up for that, so we can, spread more Reiki. And our real goal is for all of us to be world-class Reiki teachers in the licensed teacher program. That is our intention and our mission, to be the very best that we can be, and, set a great example for high standards and Reiki teaching and quality, and, all the content, the great manuals that William Rand provides. He provides us with such great resources. When I originally took my Reiki 1 and 2 class, there was no manual, nothing. It's like, well, I didn't learn a whole lot. Yeah. So I'm really grateful for his manuals.
Now, if someone's interested in going this track, of course, as a Reiki practitioner, they would need to take the Reiki 1, Reiki 2, Art Master, and Karuna Reiki Master from an ICRT licensed Reiki Master teacher.
Yeah.
Is there an avenue for someone to, reach out and connect and talk to someone about potentially taking that path? Or is it just something you do and see if you can get in at the end?
Well, of course, anyone is welcome to talk to me or to Colleen Benelli. You can reach me at Karen at KarenHarrison.net and ask me any questions. You're welcome to give me a call. Also, you can reach me through my website at KarenHarrison.net. I'm glad to talk with you about the program. You can read about the program. We have a webpage on Reiki.org for the Licensed Reiki Master Teacher Training Program. And if you have any trouble finding that, of course, you're welcome to email me for it. So we have an overview of it. And then there is a nice little manual. It's a 46-page manual that goes into depth about the training program and tells you all the different steps. So it's not only an overview of the program, but it's also the manual for the new student teachers, that contains everything, from the application on up. So besides having taken all of the classes through a licensed teacher, you also must attend one of the Reiki retreats that the International Center puts on. And we have 2 coming up this year, one in June in upstate New York, and one over Labor Day in Sedona, Arizona.
Sedona.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Great. I look forward to meeting you.
I don't know if that'll count though, right? Because it's before getting all my classes from ICRT.
No, it counts.
Okay.
Yeah, it counts.
Bonus.
Yes. And during the retreat, we have a meeting and we go over the licensed teacher training program. It's your opportunity to ask questions and meet all the other licensed teachers. And, because we really want to get to know our prospective teachers and for them to get to know us and ask us questions and, see if this is going to be a good path for them. I think it's a great path for anyone that wants to work towards teaching Reiki full time and also, hopefully doing some traveling and teaching, unless you live in a big city like, New York or something or Chicago. It's really helpful if you have the ability to travel and teach.
Yes.
That's what I do. I teach in Kansas City and Oklahoma City and Omaha, City of Enlightenment, and St. Louis and Dallas and Houston.
Wow.
So originally I had these great aspirations, that I was going to go teach Reiki in Europe because I used to be fluent in German. Well, I decided I'm really happy teaching in the Midwest. And then I go on vacation to Germany.
Right. Mm-hmm. Well, how do you, as a business, as a Reiki practitioner, how do you manage all these classes in different locations and promoting them and stuff like that?
It's through the power of the International Center for Reiki Training.
So is that the main source of your students coming in? So you really don't do a lot of marketing at your end?
Not a whole lot.
Just like you have a newsletter, and I'm sure you send out emails and you post things.
I do. Yeah. I have a monthly newsletter. I have a Reiki circle in Kansas City that meets twice a month. I've been running it since 2000 at my Unity Church. I have a monthly online Reiki call for anyone to connect with me about Reiki. We send each other Reiki for about 20 minutes of the call, and the rest of the time is sharing Reiki experiences, what we've been doing with Reiki, and asking questions and having a discussion. So I get, I've been doing this a long time now. I've been teaching since 2000. So a lot of people, refer people to me. And occasionally I'll take out ads in, the local newspaper. But, and sometimes I'll partner with other healing centers to advertise my classes. But mostly I just rely on Reiki.org and the Reiki News magazine. And, I've been doing it long enough that I'm established in those cities, and, it just works.
Absolutely. Now, when individuals come in for like Reiki 1, Reiki 2, and, there's always encouragement, and I encourage, my students to, to consider, taking master at some point, to get the extra, symbols and whatnot. And I know that's something you'd like to look for in a student. So is there a particular type of student or client that would stand out that would most likely want to progress down that path?
Oh, well, that's interesting. I just wrote a little article for my my student Facebook groups. I have, Facebook groups for my Reiki 1 and 2 students, one for my Reiki Master and one for my Karuna students. So I just posted, things to consider if you might want to go on to Reiki Master, like you're ready for another shift in energy and an upgrade to your energy. You maybe want to teach Reiki to your children or grandchildren, or someone has asked you to teach Reiki. If someone's asking, that means it's time for you to have the Reiki Master class, because the universe is knocking on your door and offering it. If you want a greater spiritual connection, that's one of the things that is so awesome about the Holy Fire energy. It really is such an amazing connection. I think of it as a repeatable spiritual experience where I am accessing the energy from the divine, and the energy from the divine is just flowing into me and filling me with holy love and the holy fire, which is the Holy Spirit. And it feels like I'm merging into God consciousness, and all duality is disappearing, and I'm one with everything. And my breath begins to slow to the point where it feels like I don't need to breathe very much, for an extended period of time. And I just feel this sense of bliss and love wash over me.
Wow, that's beautiful. Thank you for that. That's lovely. Absolutely lovely.
Yes. So, yes, I love the Holy Fire energy.
So now with, technology, a couple of things you had mentioned in the mentoring program with technology and marketing, and these things are, moving, pretty quickly. Where do you focus, what do you mostly focus on in those two areas when you're bringing up a licensed Reiki Master teacher?
And the technology,
marketing, and, specifically thinking of like, Facebook or, other social media, and even search engines, algorithms change and things change there. So do you have a certain core curricula that you work with the teachers on, or do you just, kind of keep up to date and give the best up to date information, when the teacher's coming up?
Well, what we're trying to do is find out what is currently working for the teachers and try new things. So for example, with my own Facebook fan page, that has not been a great source of referrals for me, after having put a lot of effort into that. One of our new licensed or one of our new student teachers had shared about taking pictures of her classes, with the students' permission, and turning them into short little movies, and posting that. And she's had some great success in her small rural town connecting with people on Facebook that way, and making personal connections. So that has helped her, a lot when she's moved to a new town and didn't really know anyone. So that's one of the things that we've done with Facebook. Of course, marketing. We talk with our student teachers about having some sort of bulk email system like MailChimp or Constant Contact. And then, staying in touch with your students. My Facebook groups are a great way to stay in touch. Students can request Reiki. They can post questions. They can share experiences. My monthly Reiki call is another avenue to stay in touch. So being available to our students, finding out how they're doing with their Reiki practice, providing other resources, like our Reiki circles. That's been a really great marketing tool for me. I put my Reiki circles on meetup.com, and it seems like that has been the easiest way to market my Reiki circle of any other, marketing technique besides my email. Because I've got quite a list, because I've been doing this now for, 17 years. So I've got a nice size email list for my local Reiki circle, and I send that out. But Meetup, I usually attract maybe 2 or 3 new students or new people each time, and some of them will then want to take my Reiki class.
Very nice. Now, I want to take just kind of a little step back, and with the ICRT, and as you came up into co-director of that licensed teacher program, and how did that change your business? So your business before being co-director and then after, how did that evolve your business?
Well, yes, that was a kind of like, oh, holy cow, where is this going to fit?
Right.
So, that's another one of the reasons that I cut back my session time, from working a few days a week doing sessions to just 1 day a week doing sessions, so that I have time for the ICRT business and all the things that Colleen and I have been doing to develop the program. Before we started being co-directors, William had asked us to do Reiki business coaching for all the other licensed teachers. He said, hey, the 2 of you are teaching a lot of students. You're kind of the tops in our numbers and doing well quality wise too. Of course, quality is important. He said he wanted us to interview all the other teachers and find out what was working, what wasn't. And so we'd started doing that back in, I think 2012, and did that for about a year or so. That's a lot of what we have based things on, finding out what has worked, what hasn't worked, and then keeping track. And we have we call it Team Reiki, our executive team meetings every month. And that has been a whole lot of fun, because I love being able to share my ideas and opinions, and be able to make a difference in the ICRT and grow it and expand it. We're working on growing something that is going to be around for years and years to come. And, to that end, hey, we want to attract some younger teachers. And we're also looking for some diversity in our program. And Stephen, guess what? Diversity would mean more males.
Yeah, younger males.
Well, okay. Males, we would like to have some people of color in our program. Welcome people with handicaps, so we are open to greater diversity, and also other locations. Could be anywhere around the world that we have manuals for. So, attracting some people from Canada, Mexico, all of that would be really super. I guess another thing that's come with it is Colleen and I had started, we'd written several articles on Reiki business practices and different topics, and presented them at the Reiki retreats. So that's been a growing edge for me to get to present at the Reiki retreats. And I'm going to be presenting at both retreats this year on transforming emotions with Reiki, which is, right up my alley as a counselor who practices Reiki. So I'm pretty excited about that. And yes, got a lot of ideas. So now I just got to develop it into my presentation.
Absolutely. And now, can anyone go to the Reiki retreat?
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can go. So
yes,
great.
Yeah, it's open for everybody. The Reiki retreat is a lot of fun. There are talks on all different things about Reiki. There's music with Pam and Don McMahon. They are well loved, and it's really fun music that you can sing along to. We have a talent show, where anyone is invited to come up and share their talent. Last year I did a funny attunement anxiety skit with William Rand, and he recorded it, and it's on my YouTube channel that you can find at Karen Harrison Reiki. So I had a lot of fun doing that with William, talking about, here's one of the huge benefits of Holy Fire Reiki. The difficult 3 pages of attunements are gone. I've had all kinds of experiences with that, and even after teaching those attunements for years, I still couldn't memorize the whole 3 pages. When I go deeply into the energy, my brain just linear brain, logical brain, I couldn't remember the 3 pages of detailed steps on how to do that attunement.
Holding your way in point.
The way in, the tongue to the roof of the mouth, and then try and blow around the tongue. And then, what if you drop the way in the middle of it? And,
yeah. I like it. I liked it. And, I've talked to a few Asui Reiki masters that got the Holy Fire and then still do the Asui style attunements, and the Holy Fire energies actually adjust for that. I read that in an article, William Hall. Yeah.
Okay. If you're teaching the all right, in the Usui Holy Fire 1, there's still attunements for Reiki 1, 2, and advanced Reiki training.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So you can do attunements for that. If you take a Usui Holy Fire 2 class, it's ignitions and placements. Right. Placement is the name for the super simple, let spirit do all the work, and we just get to sit back and receive. All right. So the placement is easy, it's elegant, it's providing great energy for the students. They're doing great with their and the Reiki classes at sharing energy and being able to feel the energy when they do the Byosen scanning. So if you take the Usui Holy Fire 2 class, then you would be doing the placements and ignitions.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, if you teach another style of Reiki, then you can still do the attunements for that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Very nice. Well, let's talk a little bit about now. Here's the thing, and as you know, yeah, there's most practitioners that I see, like to incorporate other modalities into what they're doing, whether it's aromatherapy or sound therapy or combination of other energy modalities. So what do you like to incorporate in your Reiki sessions?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the first thing that I incorporate are my counseling tools, because that is such a great asset, for me, that a person can come in and share a little bit about what their struggles are in their life, and I listen, and then I activate the holy fire energy to work on reducing the emotional intensity of it, to work on clearing it. In my Lessons from Holy Fire article, I wrote about a woman whose husband had an affair, numerous affairs actually, and then he'd married his last affair partner. Well, that woman had an affair also on her husband, so that union, began out of betrayal. Well, my client was really angry. She had a lot of hurt and rejection and abandonment, and the husband had told her if she'd been a better wife, he wouldn't have cheated. So that was, pretty hard to take. Anyway, she really disliked the new wife and had to deal with her because of the kids that they had in common. So I worked with her. This did take several sessions. I'm working through the intense anger and the hurt, the rejection. She'd suffered some depression after that. Spent a session working on clearing that deep sense of depression, and it just felt like such a loss, so painful. And the holy fire energy and, Master Healer Jesus worked on clearing that. And then one of the most interesting things that happened was working with the holy fire energy and sending it into her relationship with her ex, and then her relationship with her ex's new wife, the relationship between the new wife and her ex-husband, and then the relationship between my client and her former husband's wife's ex-husband, like all the connections all the way around. And when all that energy cleared, I could feel the energy returning to my client. And my client was able to go to family functions and get-togethers, and be around the husband's new wife, and be okay with that, and not be just gripped in fear, anxiety, and anger and hurt. So, that was really amazing.
So then you kind of use your counseling skills to really hone in on the issue, and then the Reiki gets applied there, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
And it one of the most helpful things in counseling is for a person to feel deeply understood and validated for their thoughts and feelings about an issue. And that's been one of the gifts of the Holy Fire Reiki. So I'm an empath, someone who is able to feel other people's feelings and thoughts. Now, I don't necessarily do that all the time, but, when I'm dialed in with Reiki, I can definitely feel it, so as I'm sending it to heal an issue, I am feeling the emotions that are coming up to be cleared. And I can feel the intensity of the anger and hurt and be able to express that to my client. And I think that helps them to feel like, wow, somebody really does understand me. Here's someone who's not just telling me to get over it, and why aren't I past this by now? So I've also written a couple articles called Reiki for Mental Health Professionals. So you can check those out on my website at KarenHarrison.net.
I think I posted, these articles, part 1 and part 2 of the Reiki for empaths. And, something was mentioned to me a few weeks back, about a month ago, at the Art Master training that I did, with regard to, just coming across people that are empathic, maybe don't know they're empathic, they just feel things deeply and, or go through a lot of turmoil, but how, introducing an empath to Reiki, that's a nice fit. That seems to be. Yes.
That's one thing that I do a lot in my classes. Years ago, I discovered that many of my Reiki students are empaths. So now I always ask them, how many of you feel that you're an empath or a highly sensitive person? And usually I have anywhere from 1/3 to 2/3 of my students say that yes, they're empaths and they're seeking tools, to manage it. So with Reiki 1 and 2, right away, we have all sorts of amazing tools, things like powering up our energy field with the power symbol, and then saying, I strengthen my light with Reiki. Anything less than love and light will transform or leave. Grounding. I always teach grounding in my classes. Grounding is so important for empaths because empaths often are not well grounded. Okay. And if they're more well grounded, the energy will flow through them rather than coming to part of them and getting stuck. And then when it's stuck energy, that causes pain. So grounding is important. Using Reiki and the breath to ground. Then we have our dry bathing practice, Kenyoku, brush it off, kind of like Taylor Swift, shake it off. So clearing our energy fields with Kenyoku. And when we are channeling that Reiki energy, it is working on healing ourselves and healing us deeply and healing all of our body systems, our aura, our chakras, everything. And the more that we are healthy, well, and healed, the less likely that other people's energy is going to stick to us in a negative way. That is another of the super best benefits of Holy Fire Reiki, because you just activate it and it puts this beautiful mist of transforming white cloud, energy all around you that helps to transform and transmute things as you go. So now it's much easier for me to go visit my mother in the nursing home where the energy is pretty low. People are in pain. They're at their last stages of life. It's the final spot where, people go when they're not able to do many of their daily living functions for themselves anymore. Maybe all they can really do that's left is feed themselves, and they need help with every other aspect of daily living. So energy tends to be low there. Even I work on it. I'm not sure
I understand. Sorry, my iPhone, sorry.
Your iPhone wants some more description of Holy Fire Reiki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you explain that a little bit more? Yeah. I know for me, I'm an empath, but for years I really didn't know, and I did feel things, but I don't know if it was overwhelming at times, but not all the time. But certainly coming into Reiki, and Holy Fire Reiki since Japan and Karama back in September with William and Colleen. I got both Holy Fire 2 and Karuna. It's been an amazing transformation, and I'm processing through stuff more like a conversation in my head as opposed to a war zone. That's the main difference for me.
Yeah. Well, that's good. Yes. So all the tools that Reiki gives for empaths, and going on and taking the Reiki Master and having that Holy Fire energy, that has just really helped me the most. And, when I'm working on helping people with their trauma events, sure, I feel whatever is coming up to be cleared, but I know it's not mine. And, if it's not moving out on its own, quickly, then I just ask for, Master Healer Jesus to come in, help clear it, and boom, it's gone. And it works quick. It's amazing. So there's a lot of other things that empaths can do too. Anything that's grounding, playing drums, going out and hugging a tree. Personally, I'm a tree hugger. I love trees. Spending time outside in nature, giving Reiki to your food. That's, a great way to help take care of yourself, as well as giving yourself Reiki every day, so you can help release all the stuff that you've picked up. So many things. And before you'd ask me, what other modalities do I incorporate with Reiki? Well, I also use essential oils. I love essential oils, and, two of my favorites are the blend called Release and the blend called Joy. So when someone comes in with emotional issues, I'll let them smell the Release and the Joy. And if, they like it and they're okay with it, I'll give them a few drops to put on their fingers and then rub over their heart chakra, to help let go of things. If they need grounding, like for empaths, any of the tree oils are great. Pine, Idaho balsam fir, Idaho blue spruce, cedarwood. I love cedarwood.
Oh, wow.
It's one of my favorites. And you can place it on the bottoms of your feet. You can place it on your wrist. You can place it where you put cologne, here and there. The back of the neck is another great place to put it. If a person comes in and they're all stuffed up, I have a blend called RC, respiratory care. It's great to put over the sinuses. Again, I just give it to the person, let them, put it on here over the head. If they come in with some tension in their head, then a blend of peppermint and lavender, in the palms and rubbed wherever there's some discomfort, that can help them. So it's the perfect combo. Or maybe, they'll put it in their hands and, just inhale it deeply. So, that's a wonderful adjunct to healing. I just see, what's going on with the person. What tools do I think would best serve them? I have singing bowls in my office. I have tuning forks, one for sonopuncture, and then one for brain balancing, and one to activate the pineal gland, here thought to be the seat of the soul. And I went out to Sedona and took Reiki drumming from Michael Baird several years ago. So, I can drum over the client also, if that, seems like that would be helpful. So it's fun to have a variety of tools and modalities that I can work with depending on what it seems would be most beneficial to the person.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wanted to ask a little more specifically about the essential oils. And you rattled off a few, maladies and the oil that might be good for that particular, situation. Is that something you've had to, learn over time in working with oils, or do you have quick reference guides, or how does, someone wants to incorporate that? What sort of a learning curve are they looking at?
Great question. Well, one of my best tools is the Essential Oil Pocket Reference, put out by Life Science Publishing, or the Essential Oil Desk Reference, which is a little bit bigger book, also put out by Life Science Publishing. And it has a great index in it. So I can look up any sort of, issue and then turn and find, what oils would be the best for it. So I've just done that over time. And I like to work with a lot of the emotional blends, like forgiveness oil. Doesn't everybody have a need for forgiveness at times? And an oil called gratitude. And while we're doing this presentation, I've got my diffuser going over here, and I'm diffusing brain power because I thought I might need that, for this interview. Helps to keep me calm too. And I was using that brain power while I've been working on my taxes too, because that is the least fun thing of being a business owner. I'm
so happy my wife's a CPA tax accountant.
What a blessing.
Right? So blessed. Well, that's great. And so, you get clients come in and depending on, now a lot of the clients are repeat clients, right? You people that have been seeing you for years, and so you kind of know their history and what their ailments are, and, conversation ahead of time, they're going to, kind of fill you in real quick. Do you get things set up ahead of time, or do you go more intuition when they arrive?
Oh, no, it's based on what's going on with them, when they arrive. So I have a few clients that I've been seeing regularly for several years, and then the other half are new clients. And sometimes people come in just for one session. Maybe they'll come in for 2 or 3 sessions. If I had room to take more clients, I might be encouraging more sessions, but I don't. And frankly, half the people that seek me out, I refer to someone who I sublease my office to, one of my students. So I'm giving her several people a week to see, because I've decided to focus on the teaching and the writing and the mentoring.
There we go. Well, great. Well, we're coming down to the end of the show. What sort of things do you have coming up that you're promoting? I know certainly ICRT. The program there. What are some of the new and exciting things coming up for you in the near future?
Yes. Well, I'm beginning to teach all my classes with my new PowerPoints, so I am really excited about that. Starting Saturday, I'm teaching Holy Fire Karuna. This will be the first time with a PowerPoint. Then next weekend, I go to St. Louis to teach Reiki 1 and 2. And I've got my schedule for the whole year laid out. I just circle around between, Dallas and Houston and Oklahoma City and Kansas City, my home base, and in Houston, and teach. And then I'll be at both of the Reiki retreats presenting, constantly working on articles. William Rand just recently asked me to write monthly for the Reiki online newsletter. He'd taken a break with that for a while, but he's decided to get that going again. So I'm like, oh, sure. Yeah, well, I just wrote an article on using Reiki for your taxes, which I thought was timely, because I'd rather do anything in the world than taxes, really. So I use a lot of Reiki on that. And I'm constantly coming up with new YouTube videos. So Karen Harrison Reiki, you can check that out. And all my articles on my website. And if you're interested in applying to the licensed teacher program, look that up on reiki.org. Or if you can't find it, email me, Karen@KarenHarrison.net. I have created a nice little 2-page summary of that 46-page manual. You should read the 46-page manual if you're serious, but just to get your appetite whet, we've got that. And we also have a questionnaire, that kind of helps you to look at everything, all the requirements, and make sure that you are qualified before, when you begin application process or the licensed Reiki Master Teacher training program.
Very good. Well, thank you so much, Karen. I really appreciate you joining us tonight. You gave so much, beautiful information and a lot of. I think it's important, with the history and the organization, that people are getting the curricula from to understand, what's kind of the structure behind that. So I really appreciate you talking about the ICRT as well. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We'll be back next Thursday, 6 p.m. Pacific, and we appreciate you joining us. Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste to you. It's been a blessing.